We're going to talk about the fourth dimension. We're going to talk about the fifth dimension. And then when I talk about those two dimensions, then we're going to go back to the fourth dimension and I'm going to take you through a meditation so that you can experience what it's like to think and be and exist in a fourth dimensional state. The fifth dimension is different. The fifth dimension is more of a physical shift. It is a mental shift. It's a shift in understanding, but you have to bring your body along for the ride. You have to elevate your vibration internally. The fourth dimension, all you got to do is think differently. But in the fifth dimension, you not only have to think differently, but you have to actually energize your body. You have to create a body of a higher vibration so that it can actually hold more light, because your body is holding light now, but a tiny little bit. As you elevate, as you, raise your frequency, raise your vibration, and we'll talk about this over time, your body will be able to hold more light. And so the fifth dimension is a dimension of light, and you have to bring your body, your physical body with it. So it does require you to be somewhat healthy or get healthy. And the healthier you get, as we'll explain, the more energy will start flowing through your body and the more light you can anchor in your body. Also, as you raise your vibration, both the vibration of your body and your own mental vibration, all of these ascension waves that are coming can now be anchored in you, in your body, in your life. If you are dense 3D and you don't think about this stuff, the ascension waves are still there, but they just bounce off of you because you can't anchor them, you can't absorb them. So in order to get the full benefit of all of this ascension, we need to raise our own frequency, raise our own vibration so that we can absorb this knowledge, this wisdom, this power, this light, all this good stuff that's coming to us, but we have to prepare ourselves. Let me tell you about the fourth dimension, and then I'll tell you about the fifth dimension. In the fourth dimension, there are three main things that I want you to think about in the fourth dimension. Number one, the fourth dimension is the place where you're going to anchor your values and principles. The work in the fourth dimension is to improve your character, to become a better human being. Okay? The second aspect of the fourth dimension is planning. Here's the thing about the fourth dimension, which we'll do that meditation in a few minutes. When you rise to the fourth dimension, right, it's a whole new understanding, but you're still projecting into the three-dimensional world. You're just projecting now in a higher dimensional way. So here's where you're going to do all your planning. Here's where you're going to say, instead of being overwhelmed by life coming at you, as you ascend to the fourth dimension, you have the freedom to plan and think and actually look at your own timeline and actually look at your life stream and see where you want your life to go. You can start to see why you are the way you are, and you can start to see the changes that you want to make so that you can, rise to a higher timeline, a higher reality. And you can do that planning in the fourth dimension. And the third aspect of the fourth dimension is patience. You just have to be patient. The fifth dimension is different. As I said, it's more demanding. It requires a bodily shift, which requires a lot of new habits. The first element of the fifth dimension is balance. If you don't have balance, you're not really going to experience it. If you're on the path to balance, you'll start to experience it to the extent that your life and your person is in balance. The more balance, the more you work on your balance, the more you open yourself up to the possibility of fifth dimensional experiences. The more out of balance, which is just about everybody is just ridiculously out of balance, the more out of balance you are, the more you're shut off from those higher experiences. And balance is not a switch, it's on or off. Balance is a never-ending process. And wherever you are now, trust me, you can be more balanced. And now we get into old Enlightenment teaching, the Buddhism and the Tibetan Buddhism and the meditation, the Vedic meditations. And now you're talking about those people really understood how to find balance. They called it emptiness. I don't like that word. I use the word balance. They were really good at finding balance. So we're going to learn how to find balance wherever you're starting, whether you're really crazy out of balance or you're already well on the path. That's goal number one for the fifth dimension. You've got to start bringing your life in balance, start being aware of it, and start working toward that balance. The second aspect of the fifth dimension, and this is the one that many people already exhibit characteristics of fifth dimensional thinking, is heart centered. I'm mind centered. Always got to think, always have to analyze, always have to talk, explain, blah, 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 blah. Very mind centered. Speaking for men, we're mind centered, right? I don't want to be sexist because a lot of women are mind centered too. It's not just men. But mind centered is a way of you're constantly talking to yourself in this imaginary illusional three dimension, telling yourself, just talking whatever you have to say to make sure everything's okay, everything's staying on track, your timeline isn't changing, you're a creature of habit. So you're constantly talking to yourself, constantly thinking, mind centered. That is, for me, this is by far, and balance are the most difficult parts of the journey because I have to learn and continue to get better and continue to work on being more heart centered. And heart centered is like the energy flows, if there's an emotion that comes in, you just kind of wobble with it and let it go away. You just kind of feel the energy waves, right? You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to try. You don't have to, you don't have to work hard at it. It's just a feeling of heart centered. Everything's great. We're all connected. People are beautiful. I see the light in everybody. It's a beautiful thing. So that's the second element of fifth dimension. And then what I've figured out, and this is the most important thing I can share with you today, the third element of fifth dimension is you can't do this by yourself. I can go to the fifth dimension. I can experience this amazing bliss. Feels really good. You'll work towards it. We'll get there. It's a great feeling. But what happens is, boop, yep, then I got to go back into the third dimension. Got to go to work. Got to drive, go to the car, shop, cook, clean, do the laundry, wash the dishes. We have life. Got to take care of the kids, put new tires in the car. You have life. So you can't stay in the fifth dimension. So I'm going to show you a trick when we get to the fourth dimension, how you can anchor yourself in the fourth dimension. But there is no trick to anchor yourself in the fifth dimension. The trick is the third element of fifth dimensional ascension, and that is unity consciousness. It was not intended to be an individual effort. And I believe this is what most of enlightenment systems in the past have missed. They would go off into a cave or, separate themselves from reality or go on a vow of silence for 25 years. I used to say, well, that's good for you up in the mountain. What about us down here that need your help? All this wisdom, what's the point? Right? There's no point in ascending without ascending with others. And another really important point, every step you take toward ascension, whether it's fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional, whatever you're doing that's positive, everything that you're doing is not for you. Yes, you will benefit from it. But what you do when you do that work is you create a ladder, a staircase, a path, a template that other people can follow. So the next 1,000 people that come in here say, oh, I can't do this. And they'll look at, Courtney and say, well, look, she did it. Any moms here? Any moms that have little kids? Yeah, they'll look at Casey and say, well, Casey's got kids and she was able to do it. Well, I have kids. I can't do it. I have to go to work. And all the reasons they can't do it. But you're doing it not just for yourself, but to be an example, a pathway for other people to ascend. So always remember that we're working for the collective, for the good of the collective.